It's time for some NHL news and notes as the NHL gets set to return to play. Maybe temporary changes to the CBA and a Carey Price update, along with some COVID protocol list updates for the Habs. Hey, everybody, I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs, where you get your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge. All right, so like I said, the NHL's kind of getting ready to return to play. Games are still being canceled. There's some new ones canceled today. Players like almost constantly being added to the COVID protocol list. Also, I mean, some players are coming off. Calgary Flames, who had 19 players on the list, I believe they're healthy now, so they have all their players back. So things are happening, but it's still crazy. Montreal. I'm going to update you on what happened with Montreal. So let's get right into all these news and stuff. And first item here is the Montreal Habs. The Habs Tampa Bay Lightning game is a go. As far as it stands right now, this is 4:30 in the afternoon that I'm filming this, and I've tried to find, expecting them not to be going. So it's Pierre LeBrun put this up. That's about 6 hours ago. As of now, Habs Bolts game for Tuesday night is a go. Habs scheduled to fly out at 2 p.m. I'm filming this at 4:30, so they should be either almost in Tampa or in Tampa already. Obviously, the results from the next round of COVID testing for each club could change things over the next 24 hours. But at this minute, both teams operating like it's a go. So the confusing part for me here is this. So they said this could be a canceled game in the next 24 hours before the game starts tomorrow. They could cancel this game. Montreal has 9 players right now, which we can talk about in a minute, on the COVID list. Although one of them is Toffoli. He was injured anyway. Tampa's having a breakout right now after being fully healthy. I'm not sure that this game shouldn't have been canceled already. I don't know why send Montreal there, which could be for nothing. I honestly, I don't get it. Although Montreal is in I think a 3-game road trip. So I guess if this is a successful thing, then they can continue the trip. I don't know. But right now, as it stands right now, the game apparently is on. So the new Habs cases, there are a bunch of new Habs cases. So I wrote this as it stands as I write this, and this was 9 a.m. this morning. Montreal is scheduled to fly to Tampa, which I guess they did, to play the Lightning tomorrow night as scheduled. Arturi Lehkonen went out on the COVID list December 18th, Laurent Dauphin December 19th, and Mike Hoffman December 20th. And at that point, and I think Toffoli was also on the list, but like I said, he was already injured and would be out for a while. At that point, those were the only Habs players. As of this morning, the update came in at 11. Jake Allen, do I have it here? Maybe I have it. This is it. Jake Allen, Ben Sherratt, Jeff Petrie, Joel Edmondson, Chris Weidman, and that I feel really bad to see. Chris Weidman just had a baby. He had pictures on Twitter all this week of him with his baby, holding his baby. And now he's either got COVID or he's a close contact. Close contact might be no problem, but I worry for this baby that he had COVID, didn't know it. And anyways, that's the scare. And for everybody, by the way, Coach Eric Raymond also, for everybody who is one of those, like, they're asymptomatic, let them play, whatever, that's the collateral damage that could happen. You give it to a family member, in this case, a baby. Subscribe and ring that notifications bell, and hey, give a thumbs up. All right, so that gives them 8 players that are out, and 9 if you put it to Foley, and now the assistant or the goalie coach is out. So they've got that many players. Like, I don't understand why this thing is on. So, and this is probably counting. There's going to be more go out. So the lineup really is really thin. I'm going to get into how the lineup has changed. Let's continue here. So Carey Price update. I have a Carey Price update, and here's the update. And it's from the coach. I'm going to leave that picture up as I read what I wrote. So there's another setback. He won't travel with the team. He was supposed to travel on this trip with the team. He's not going to do that as planned. And I think the reason is that he wasn't able to meet with his doctor in New York. And I think that doctor would have approved the trip, and they weren't able to have that meeting because of COVID, and that's how he explained it. So he's not on the trip, and it's a bit of a setback, and they'll keep us updated. So my question is it just me, or does Coach Dom remind anyone else of Martin Short's nervous lawyer character on Saturday Night Live back in, I think, the 90s, when he's trying to explain why Price had a setback or he's trying to estimate his return? He's kind of like Carey Price. Like, why do you guys ask me about Carey Price so much? He's okay. He'll be fine. He's okay. It's not a problem, Carey Price. It's just a setback. It's really not a problem. It's going to be fine. Does he remind you of that, or just me? I don't know. I kind of see that when he talks about it. It's weird with Carey Price. It's constant setbacks, and I'm getting reminded of that year where he didn't he win like his first 10 games, and then he got an injury, and he just never came back, and they just kept telling us 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and then finally, oh yeah, he's out for the rest of the year. I don't know. I'm reminded of this. Does it really matter in this season where we all kind of want that good draft pick and we want them to do badly in a way? No, but it's weird how they're doing this. So I don't know. Something to me, it kind of like my spidey senses are tingling when I see this stuff about Price. That's all I'm saying. So we'll refer back here to this video if I turn out to be right and something weird is going on. I'm not saying that there is, but I just get that sense. So here's the announcement. Maybe I should put it up earlier, but by the NHL, NHLPA, they're working on COVID roster protection, including optional use of taxi squad through the All-Star break, emergency call-ups as long as player is making no more than $1 million, and freedom to add a goalie if a club has less than 2 healthy due to the virus, so 2 healthy goaltenders. Now that, it says 22 minutes ago, but that was from, I think, yesterday. And then the NHL announced, and there's a whole 4-page thing, that there's going to be temporary changes to the CBA, including reintroduction of taxi squads. So that's a thing right now. 3 additional games are postponed, and there are 3 more since then. And there's the rules and regs of how the taxi squad works and the goalies. So this is kind of what I've got. Let's go over what I've got. So changes to the CBA are for this season only, and like they said, up until the All-Star break. I imagine if this carries longer, they'll amend that. Teams, bottle of water fell. Teams can recall a player from the AHL making $1 million or less on an emergency recall. And there's rules around that too. It's all very convoluted, but it's lawyer talk. Teams will be able to recall 1 or 2 goalies if their goalies are out. The second goalie's salary won't count against the cap. So if they're down 2 and they need that second goalie as an emergency thing, that guy won't count against the cap. If a team has less than 12 forwards or 6 defensemen for their next game, because players are out with COVID, and not for injuries, but COVID, will be able to call up players to fill in without having to have played the previous game with less than 18 players. So as it stood before this all happened, if you had a game where you had less than 18 players because of salary cap restrictions and injuries, then the next game you were allowed to have an emergency call-up. In this case, when you know you're going to be less than 18 players because of COVID and guys out, you're allowed to have that recall without having to have played that game that short. Taxi squads are back. Taxi squads will be allowed up until the 2022 All-Star break. They'll consist of 6 players. Waivers are still required, and a player cannot spend more than 20 cumulative days, which means it doesn't have to be 20 in a row, but 20 days up until the All-Star break on the squad. Players' salaries will count against the cap when recalled. The taxi squad will practice and travel with the team, but they don't have to travel as a full squad. And what that means is, from what I gather, if you figure you might need 2 guys, you bring 2 guys with you. You don't have to have all of them, but they do suggest you have some of the taxi squad travel with you. That's what they're saying. But the taxi squad members do not have to travel with the team, but can, and they will practice with the team. Here are quickly the rules for that. If you wanted to see it, it's from that PDF file I downloaded. It's kind of sort of convoluted, but I mean, it's, it's you can't. There's rules about how many games you can't have participated in before a certain amount of time to be on the taxi squad. You can't just be a regular player and they want to put you on the taxi squad. No, there's rules for all that. Anyways, this is all out there. I think you can find it on the NHL.com site. It's a 4-page document that they put out. For the goalies, let's see if I wrote this properly. Yeah, I'm going to read what it says. Notwithstanding the above, a taxi squad goaltender will be permitted to be recalled after the appropriate 5 p.m. deadline. So if they miss that deadline and say, oh, now we need a goalie, they can do that. If the club has less than 2 goaltenders on its active roster who are able to play in the club's next game. And provided further that the club either has appropriate payroll room to have effectuated a recall of such a goaltender or all the requirements of CBA section whatever. So that's what I was saying. They have to, if they're recalling one goaltender, they need one. They got to be able to fit that in under the cap. But if they need 2 because both guys are out, and some teams both guys are out right now, that second guy doesn't go against the cap. Was there more to that? I don't think so. They can call up a guy that game. They need him to play that game, and that also I don't think goes against the cap. That's an emergency recall. Yeah, that was here. That's what I should have been looking at. All right, that's enough of that. Taxi squad call-ups for Montreal. 5 players and a member of the coaching staff have been added to the NHL's COVID protection list, like I said. Caden Primo, Corey Sheneman have been called up from the Rocket, and 4 other players. And those 4 other players are Gianni Fairbrother, Brandon Baddock, Cameron Hillis, and Michael McNiven is going to be the third goalie. Although Jake Allen's out right now, so that's that. What else did I have here? The practice lines. The Habs practice lines are ridiculous. So there's a little controversy. So they were put out, and as you're going to see them, it looks like it's a ridiculous second line and fourth line. Like, it doesn't look like the right combination, right? And that's just the way it is. This is how it was put out. Line 1 is probably line 1. Line 2, line 3, line 4 aren't in their right spots. But I think the writers, and it was brought up on Twitter, put it out there to get clicks, put them in the wrong lineup. I mean, in the wrong order. And it's obvious when you see it. Here they are. So you got Drouin, Suzuki, Gallagher. These are practice lines today. We won't know till if they're going to play tomorrow what those lines will look like tomorrow. They may be different, but that's what's there now. Drouin, Suzuki, Gallagher. Then they got Paquette, Pezzetta, Vadimo as second line. They're not playing top 6. When you have Belzile, Evans, and Ilonen, a little more experience there. Ilonen, young kid, but playing well, a little more, I think, more offense potential there than the other guys on that Paquette, Pezzetta, Vadimo line there. And Evans, I mean, if Evans is there as a center, it's either Paling or Evans is going to center line 2. So I think that's line 2 there. Paquette, Pezzetta, Vadimo, line 4. Harvey Pinard, Paling, Caulfield, line 3, as they have played before, Paling and Caulfield, line 3. And then you got Byron, who's almost ready to return. Hillis and Baddock as the extras. Romanov, Savard, first line on defense. Kulak and Clegg, and then Sheneman and Niku. And you got Montembeault, Primo, and McNiven as your goalies. Basically an AHL lineup with a couple of other guys that a couple NHL guys there. It's kind of what it looks like. So we'll see what that looks like tomorrow. Maybe somebody comes off the protocol list. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what kind of game it's going to look like tomorrow. Of the 32 teams in the league, I think this is my last piece of info. 28 of them have players out and 4 do not. So there are 4 healthy teams and the rest have players out. And I think if you have 1 or 2 players out right now, that could easily turn into 10 in hours, if not by the next morning. So it's still a fluid situation. And we'll see what happens. I don't know if there'll be any more shutdowns, if there'll be any more postponements, but there could be. And I do think that the Habs game could get postponed tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll have to see and play it by ear then. So that's it. I don't have anything else. There's nothing else to update. And we'll see tomorrow if there's going to be a game or not. I don't know. If there is, I'll be here. Pre-game show and the game. Hopefully you'll look for that if there is a game. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys stay healthy out there. Subscribe and ring that notifications bell. And hey, give a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, check out that video over there.